We'll be back with our second match for replay tonight, the game from the MCG where
Ball runs free, and again it comes back to Kolyanoff, combining with Cameron and Baxter. Del Rey, short to Liberatore, running through is Maloney. The Dogs are looking good. Maloney passes towards Coleman. Can't take it at the first bite. Thrown out almost to Bernie Harris. He almost has his jumper pulled off. Royal will run into the open goal. Grant does the shepherding, and the Dogs go on their merry way.
Well, the value of forwards tackling as Brian Royals looking up for his third goal, the second in this quarter, but they came through the tackle. Watch Bernie Harris. He tries to get away here. No, there it was. And it was Coleman who just dragged him down, former teammates. And there's Royal going in for his third.
Yeah, great tackle by Coleman. Royal has got better as the game has gone on. Not very often a side comes up here and annihilates the Brisbane Bears. They're a good side here. Little man strength. McGuinness to Cameron, then back it went to McGuinness. They've got, and I'll tell you what, Don, any side that plays Footscray this year is going to be in for a tough game.
Especially away from home.
Well, yes, they've got a poor record. It used to be almost late Ambazir. They'd win at home in the old days, but it's not anymore. This is Gavin Keane, affectionately known as, well, he was at Essendon as Marbles Keane. Half forward is Bain. Now he's got no one coming past. He centres it up to full forward, and the mark has been taken by Roger Merritt, who kicked 3 in the first quarter, and he was going for goal number 4. Well, Roger Merritt, battling injury, tried his heart out as usual. But going for his fourth from 40 metres, stabs at that one. Very good kick. 4 goals to Roger Merritt. There's the siren. Great win to the Footscray Bulldogs.
Yes, the Dogs can afford to roar. Look at that final scoreline. Footscray, 19-11, 125, a percentage boosting win over Brisbane. 8 goals, 8-56. And in the last 3 quarters, Footscray kicked 19 goals, 10. And the Bears kicked 5 goals, 6. Main contributors: Chris Grant finished the night with 6 goals, Glenn Coleman 4, Brian Royal 3, 2 each to Wigney, and Hawkins in singles to Atkins. Del Rey in a great team performance was for the Brisbane Bears. 4 to Merritt, 2 to Hardy, and 2 to Mark Williams. So the Dogs and their jubilant Dogs. Tony Liberatore, Doug Hawkins, Danny Del Rey, Peter Foster and co. leave the ground. Jubilation for the Dogs, but bitter disappointment for the Bears. Repeating the score, Footscray 19-11, 125. Brisbane 8-8, 56. Final scoreline here at Carrara, and what a disappointing last 3 quarters for Brisbane, but full credit to the Bulldogs. They kicked only a behind in the first term, but then they went berserk. 19-11, 125, Brisbane 8-8, 56 to try and explain just what happened. Don Scott, what did happen, Don?
Well, we made mention, Sandy, at quarter time that it didn't look good for the Brisbane Bears. They were leading by 19 points. And Footscray didn't have a really good player in that first quarter, and their margin was really only 3 goals, and the Footscray guys could only but improve, and that's what they did do. And I suppose you could say Brisbane, for the amount of play they had in the first quarter, really didn't capitalise. And when Footscray clawed their way back into the game, then they started to play very confident football, started to go long like that, which they didn't do early in the game. Brisbane, on the other hand, reverted back to that indirect game, which they do because of the fact that they don't win in certain positions. They play a possession game, and they looked a little bit better on occasions when they got the ball down there a little quicker. But Brisbane, well, they've got a lot of problems. I think one player that tries very, very hard in the half-back flank is Martin Leslie, who's moved on to the ball to try and give them something. Mark Zanotti tried reasonably hard, I suppose Scott McIver, but just lacked direction at the moment.
Bill McDonald said at three-quarter time, just while we have a look at these stats, that Norm Dare virtually threw his hands up in the air and said, well, look, you just go out and do whatever you like, and we'll see who gets a game next week.
Just looking at those stats, that's an incredible number of handballs by Footscray, 150. That is incredible. That is really incredible. I'm staggered at that.
Back to Norm Dare at three-quarter time.
Yes, well, I can appreciate the situation and that he's in, because it's really, you know, I really don't know what he could do. I thought of moves he could make, and he tried a few, like, as I said, Martin Leslie going onto the ball. He shifted Harris up forward, but I really do think it comes back to the direction of play. You know, they do go wide. They have guys that cheat and stand on the outsides hoping for the easy ball to come out. They've got to go and get the ball, and they just didn't do that on occasions tonight. Also, they've got a few players that are just a little slow, and they are found out on occasion.
By the same token, are we detracting from the Footscray performance?
Well, Footscray, they did play very well. As they became more confident, their style of play really did improve. But I think the first quarter left a lot to be desired. They really weren't zipped up. The game was there for anybody to win, and Footscray really didn't take the bit between the teeth in the first quarter.
It's a very open season, Don. I think they're just sitting outside the fire. Would they be worthy final five aspirants?
Oh, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, when the top sides really put Footscray under the microscope and really start and hassle them, I think they'll be a little brittle. But they're doing very well. We saw Grant tonight, who did well. It's about time he started to come into the game. But with a young fellow like that, you can't expect a 17-year-old to perform like a seasoned professional. It was good that Coleman went down there in the third quarter and gave a little bit of strength, you know, and then he could move around. The responsibility wasn't on Grant at that stage. And Wigney, I thought, was a very, very good player at centre-half forward. He was a very mature player for his age. All
right, Don, thank you for that report. Let's, at this stage, have a look at some of the sporting action coming up on 7, because there certainly is on 7 every Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. It gets underway for 3 hours, of course.